Welcome to Classy with a Double Dose of Sassy, and today we have back by popular demand Abby Sterling. She looks like a little Valentine with her little pink sweater. She's just perfectly dressed for tonight. I'm
Hi.
Joyce. You're Av.
Yep.
I'm Lana.
And
I'm Av's grandmother.
Oh, wait, the other one.
Yeah, she's Av's grandmother, and I makes me her great grandmother. But we're not that old, so we don't talk about that. So tonight we're going to show you two different kinds of cakes. And the first one we're going to do is a cake that is baked in a cast iron skillet. Now, I have cast iron skillets, but I didn't have any that didn't have a wooden handle. And I didn't want to put a wooden handle in the oven. I don't know what it would have done, but at the price of La Creuset, I did not want to take that chance. So we have just a regular cast iron skillet. And it starts out with a can of cherry pie filling. Which that alone I could eat with a spoon.
Definitely. Now, do you have to spread that out? Or
Yes,
just,
I'm going to spread it
I
out.
didn't know if you wanted it all in the middle.
I want to spread it out. Once I get it all out of the can, I'm going to do that. One more swipe through the can, and I think I'm good.
I'll take the can.
Isn't that pretty though? The red cherries, they're just beautiful.
Especially in the black.
Especially in the black. And then we're going to put a mixture of cream cheese and sugar.
There you go.
Cream cheese, sugar, and flour and teaspoon, and the exact
Recipe.
ingredients are an 8-ounce block of cream cheese, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, and a teaspoon of vanilla. You just layer that on top.
You know, this is kind of like a dump cake that you make, and you just dump everything, you know, and bake it. So instead of mixing up the cake mix, you put a dry cake mix over the cherries and pineapple and butter and bake it, and it is so good and it's so easy. This is what this reminds me of, even though the cake mix is mixed. So it does.
And dump cake is something I've never made before, so I'm kind of out in the woods on that one. And just kind of spread this around a little bit. I mean, you can't make it perfect because there are two different types of things being spread. And then the last thing is the cake mix, and you just get a cake mix. And
My favorite part.
There was a day when I would not have used the cake mix because I used to always make my cakes from scratch, but not anymore. It's too easy. So I just make it like the directions talk about, which is putting 1 1/4 cups of water in, a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs. Mix it all up together, and instead of baking it and then putting it in this thing, you pour it in and then bake it. See if I don't spill it here. And when you bake it, you bake it for 45 minutes, and I thought that was an awful long time until I realized normally you bake 2 separate pans for like 25 to 30 minutes, so that's the reason why you bake it so long. The whole thing is plopped right in there with everything else.
The oven's preheated to 350, and she's going to bake it for 45 minutes. So when we come back...
So it's 6:02, and so it should be done about quarter to 7 or whatever. We'll keep an eye on it. And we're going to do another cake. Well, we're back, and now we have Lisa with us.
Hello.
She was missing in action for the other one. And I just wanted to point out this heart-shaped pan. I got it probably 40 years ago. I've never used it because I don't know what to use it for. But my husband got it for me for Valentine's Day. He thought it was the greatest thing, and so do I. I think it's just as cute as anything. I just don't know what to put in it. So if anybody has any suggestions, put it on Facebook. I'd love to know anybody's ideas.
I think I told her you could serve soup in it, but evidently she didn't like that idea.
Okay, so now we're gonna frost the cake. And Abby, you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've already heard Abby is back by popular demand.
Okay, you need to get a little bit more.
Just get a bunch
Okay.
on and spread it around.
Yeah, and then spread it around.
Ooh, that's good. And you know what? You might want to start working on the sides. That's the pain part.
Now, just so you know, I baked these cakes earlier in the day, and again, I used a cake mix, but I added almond flavoring to it because I love white cake with almond flavoring. So, and then for the frosting, it's whipped cream, and we put red food coloring in it to make it pink, and I almost put almond in it, but then Lisa voted me down and said that enough is enough. So,
We already have almond in the cake.
okay, that's
But
good.
then you whipped the whipping cream.
More like on the side,
Yeah.
right there.
Okay, and then let me just see this for 1 second. Here's how you do the sides. And it's kind of messy. But then you can wipe it up off the plate later, but the sides are kind of a pain. But it's kind of how you do it. And then you smooth it over, you know.
And you can do those, you know, now if you want to, or you can wait and do it when you've got the other layer on and do it all at once.
Oh, that's true. That
Yeah.
would be.
So here's the second layer.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful? Then start putting frosting on it. Just get a bunch.
So you can just
Just
slather
slap.
it on now
Yep.
because there's a lot and there's no reason to save any.
So just do the top part first. And we'll show them. It's nice. Watch, I'm going to show you something real quick. Just take it this much frosting. Boop. And then just start putting it down, you know?
oh, you want to cover like this
Yeah,
part?
cover the whole thing.
Oh.
There. Just wanted to show you that.
So you have a lot of frosting to play with here.
So normally, of course, we'd frost the whole thing, but we're just going to show you, have Abby just put on the little cinnamon candies to decorate it with.
So I was starting to tell you about whipped cream and the difference between whipping cream and whipping egg whites because you do the same thing. You put them in a bowl, primarily a stainless steel bowl and start mixing. When you are doing cream, you want everything to be chilled, and that gives you the maximum fluff in your cream. So you want your beaters chilled, and you want your milk to be your cream to come right from the refrigerator, and your bowl to be chilled, and that's just going to make it that much better. In this whipped cream, we added a little bit of sugar, and we added. We didn't add the extract because
No.
she voted me down, but we did add a little bit of sugar. In egg whites, you want everything to be scrupulously clean, and you can't have a dot of water on your beater or on your bowl because if you do, it won't work.
When you beat egg whites,
When you beat egg whites, you can't have one speck of egg yolk in, or it will not beat up to egg whites. But everything's supposed to be room temperature, and then you just beat them, and it's the same thing happens.
And then if you didn't want to make your own whipped cream, you said that you could put Cool Whip on here if you wanted.
Oh yeah, it'd be easy to make this easier. You know, you could easily frost this with Cool Whip, or you could frost it with the frosting that you buy in a can. You can do anything you want to with it. And this is the kind of cake. This cake and the other one we're doing are very rich, and so you can easily get at the very least 16 pieces out of that cake. You could get 8 pieces a side out of that cake, and both of them, because they're just very, very, a little bit goes a long ways.
And if I haven't mentioned, the red candies are back.
We use those a lot in our recipes. But anyway, you can do anything you want with these. You can throw them all over and like this. I was just going to just sprinkle a couple over like that.
Yeah.
He's doing a little thing all the way around. You could make a little smiley face, or you can do all kinds of things.
You could even write "I love you" with it.
You could. That would be nice. So I hope everybody has a great, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day. We're very happy to have our little Valentine here.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell about the heart-shaped hands. There's a story behind them, as there is in most everything in my life. But my husband and I belong to a gourmet group, and every month there would be 12 couples that would get together, and the hostess would send out the recipes a few days ahead of time so that everybody brought something. And the day that I got my recipe, it was for this, not for this cake, but for another cake made in the shape of a heart. Took me all day to make it. It's the Ritz-Carlton floating heart dessert, which is in my cookbook. It's a labor of love. But anyway, I couldn't find heart-shaped pans. There were none around. I had to go as far as like 50 miles away to find a heart-shaped pan. I couldn't find currant jelly, which went in the recipe. I had to go, I forget where, but not in town could I find it. I couldn't find the lady fingers, and so instead of buying lady fingers, I made them in the shape of a heart, and it worked out just as good as anything else. But when we laughed about it because I got this recipe like Thursday, the party was Saturday, and where was I going to get all this stuff? But we finally found it, and these are the original heart-shaped pans that did that dessert, and they looked the worse for wear.
And that's how she started her store, the Cook's Corner.
Yeah,
that's what made her start the store.
That's when I said to my husband, we need to open up a store that sells this kind of stuff if we're going to be having gourmet groups around this town. And that's what we did. So this, like the other cake, is very decadent. When you cut them, cut like thin slivers because they're very dense and very heavy, but very, very good. I made one ahead of time, and we've tasted it all week long. We know how good it is. So we hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day.
And basically we just flipped it out onto a pan like that. That's how you did it. It's
Onto a plate.
onto a plate. And see, that's the bottom of the cake, and which really looks like the top of the cake.
Thank you.